Good morning. It's another 5 a.m. start this morning. Hmm. A long day today, but I thought I'd take you through my morning mobility routine. I've been doing this routine for a year, maybe a year and a half, and I've noticed a massive difference in terms of my overall flexibility, mobility, athleticism, climbing ability. So this has helped massively. And I do this every morning, 6 or 7 days a week. And then that's on top of the other exercise that I do, the cardio, strength training, and climbing. But this is really the foundation that gets me set up for the day. And before I do this, I tend to feel kind of groggy. You can probably hear in my voice, I'm kind of tired. And once I've finished this, I feel great, ready for the day, and it works great. So I'll take you through each step. The first step actually just involves a box of rice. So, what I do with this box of rice is warm up my fingers. I just put the rice in there, put my hand in there and squeeze the rice like that. And I squeeze forwards and then I squeeze backwards. And I started doing this after I got a climbing injury where I sprained one of my fingers. And it was taking a while to recover. And somebody suggested this rice technique. And I kept doing it because I found it so helpful to warm up the tendons and ligaments and everything in my fingers, get it all moving. And touch wood, I haven't had any finger injuries since then. And my fingers have felt good, strong, healthy, and flexible. So, this is the very start of the mobility routine. The next part of the routine involves this kind of balance board and some dumbbells. So I use the balance board to improve my balance and sort of reaction speeds and coordination. And then I use some dumbbells to warm up my shoulders. So I start by balancing on the board and I warm up my shoulders firstly by doing some dumbbell curls. And the reason to do dumbbell curls as the first exercise for shoulders is because the bicep tendon inserts into the shoulders. I'm not trying to build big biceps or arms here. I'm just trying to warm up the shoulder so I can do some more shoulder mobility stuff. And then once I've done that with the bicep curls, I do sort of what you call this kind of external rotation with the arm abducted, lifting the biceps up. Again, warming up the shoulders, being careful to focus on having my scapula kind of retracted and in a strong position. The next exercise still involves the balance board, but this time I'm trying to really create stability in my ankles. So what I do is put one foot on the balance board, have the other foot out to the side, and then reach down with both hands to try and touch the floor while being stable, doing it nice and slow. So what I'm trying to build here is sort of ankle and hip stability and balance and coordination. Sometimes I get off balance. That's okay. Then do the other ankle. The next section is for my shoulders. So I had these resistance bands, and what I'm doing here is trying to build stability in the shoulders so that my shoulders feel nice and strong and they can support other movements like rock climbing or lifting other weights or any athletic activity. So the first step is just to pull the bands back. It may look like a really simple exercise, but doing it really slowly is just to improve the the scapular stability. So keeping the scapula back. And although some of the other exercises look more complex and effective, this is probably the best exercise I've got for keeping my shoulder from dislocating and keeping it nice and stable. So if you're not doing this one and you've got dodgy shoulders, I would recommend trying to incorporate it. And the important thing is to pull from the scapula, keep the scapula back and nice and stable. Then the next exercise is external rotations like this. Keeping the scapula nice and retracted and stable and fixed in position. We do internal rotations. So the opposite of what we just did. Keeping the scapula nice and retracted. Here's another angle so you can see it a bit better. So I'm keeping my shoulders back and my scapula's nice and stable and fixed and retracted while I do these external rotations. And then the opposite, which is internal rotations. And the weight is not supposed to be so heavy that you're building muscle. This is very much about stability and keeping everything nice and tight in the shoulder. The next one is lifting the bar up towards my face like this. Sort of external rotation in an abducted position. Again, keeping the scapula nice and tight and back at the back of the shoulder. And then the opposite of that, which is kind of internal rotation in an abducted position. So focusing on being able to keep everything really tight with the arms in this position. After I dislocated my shoulder, if you're medical, you'll know about the shoulder apprehension test, which is where you have the shoulder in this position and it creates anxiety and apprehension. But having trained it like this, I don't have any apprehension anymore because my shoulders are really nice and stable. There we go. The next exercise is calf raises on the edge of these massive dumbbells. So what I'm trying to do here is stretch out my calves at the bottom, tense them at the top. And one thing I'm focusing on here is keeping, building up the kind of proprioception and awareness in my toes so that I'm able to keep a good grip on the edge of these dumbbells. Even though these shoes have very little grip, they're quite worn out and they're not the best for, creating tension and grip on these dumbbells. I'm really focusing on keeping that grip so I don't fall off, and that helps me with climbing. I've noticed a massive improvement in how confident I feel in my feet when I'm climbing up the wall, having done these exercises. So these are really a stretching exercise and warming up the calf muscles. Okay. The next thing I do is a squat position, and I just hold this and move around with my hips, trying to loosen up and improve my hip mobility and my squat position. So I'm trying to improve my ankle mobility, trying to improve my hip mobility, trying to improve my spine, and feel kind of confident and secure in that deep squat position. So I just hold this and feel the kind of stretch in different areas, my legs, in my ankles, in my back, and try and experiment with different kind of positions within the squat so that everything feels nice and solid. Okay, so the next bit is some floor work. And I start with this position. I don't know what this is called, kind of a frog position. Just to open up the hips and start to create some mobility, in the hips. I get as far forward as I can, kind of rock around, stretch out my back a bit. Just open my hips up. Then I move on to this position. I don't know what this position is called, but what I'm trying to do is stretch out my hips as much as I can. It also helps with the hamstring stretching, stretching out my back. And I've noticed a massive improvement in terms of my hip mobility when I'm climbing doing this. I'm able to reach long distances with my feet so that I can switch feet positions over a long distance because my hips are more mobile. I'd love to get to the point where I can do the splits, but we'll see. It might take a while. Okay, the next work is to stretch out my back. So do this kind of, I think it's called cat-cow. And then do some rotations where I reach through, stretch out my back. And my back rotation is not very good. It's definitely something I need to work on. Then the next exercise, I get onto my back and again do some rotation movements. And then I finish with, I think it's called a bridge. And then I do two final things. One is a handstand to improve my handstands. And the final thing I do is I just hang from the bar and I try to hang from two hands. And then I'll just do a short period of hanging from one hand. So I'm hanging from two hands to start with. And then I'll try hanging from one hand just to build strength in the fingers, arms, scapula again, back, and throughout the whole body. And that's it, I'm done. That's my morning mobility routine is complete. I feel way more awake, I feel way more alert. My nervous system is awake. All of my joints have been stretched and warmed up. And I find this really sets me up well for the day. So I got a busy day today. I'm working in the GP this morning, so I'll be a GP, try and get there for 7:30, probably till 2:30, something like that. Then my plan is after that to go climbing, then squeeze in a bit of work, some family stuff, and then I'm out with my wife this evening for like a comedy show. So with that, thanks for watching. and I'll see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.